There we go. I think I got it. Welcome in and a very happy Saturday to you. Now it is last call here, powered by WagerTalk.com. I'm Joe Raineri. We've got a loaded slate here today. Across the board, in fact, we're going to be looking at some Major League Baseball now that it's off and running in the second half. We got UFC 94. We also have a look ahead to some NFL and maybe even a college future bet for you, since we are less than 50 days away from that. And, of course, we'll mix in a little update here on the Open Championship. That is underway, and we're going to do it with three of the best here at Wager Talk. We'll have Andy Lang stopping in, talking about his favorite fight of the year. Jake Paul will be in the ring tonight, and I know he is ecstatic about talking about this fight for you. So looking forward to that. Jesse Schule, he's got a little CFL as well as a lot of college football he's going to talk about. But first up, let's bring in the man, Bryan, the truth, Leonard in the house here. And Bryan, it's always a pleasure. Happy Saturday. We got to see a little bit of rust last night in Major League Baseball. And I think, today, are we going to get more of the same, do you think? Were you looking at a lot of unders last night? Were you looking at some overs? How did you approach after a week off last night in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, being that the bullpens were going to be healthy and everybody set up, I thought there'd be some unders, but there were some higher scoring games yesterday. And one of them was the game that we're going to talk about today, and that's Oakland at the Angels at Oakland. And it tells you how tough it is to be an Oakland A's fan when you've got a guy coming up for your first start of the season. Shortstop, he's a guy that's been crushing it. Wilson, been crushing it in the minor leagues. I think he had a .417 average in the minors. Comes up, his first at bat, singles up the middle over the shortstop's head, and later on in the inning, he's running third base and pulls a muscle, and now he's out for a while. So that's the way it is if you're an Oakland A's fan. I did see today that it's Jose Canseco bobblehead giveaway. I wonder if they're going to make it with the ball bouncing off of his head. But that's just something that happened back in the old Cleveland Stadium, but it's still on everybody's mind. Yeah, this Oakland A's team has gotten really good as of late. They're playing really good ball. Take a look at the scores in these games in the last 2 weeks. They played Baltimore, 27 total runs, 9 total runs. They play the Red Sox, 21, 7, 7. Play the Phillies, 8, 16, 21. And then last night, 16 against the Angels. This is the team right now. Oakland is scoring a lot of runs. They're enjoying the game. They're having a lot of fun. I expect more of that here in this one. For myself, we're taking a look at the starter for the Angels. Koenowitz, I guess is how you spell his name. He's only thrown 13 pitches in the major leagues and hasn't been very good. But not much of a prospect for them. The Angels at this point are just throwing out bodies, healthy bodies, and trying to get that done. Mitch Spence going for the Oakland A's. He's had some pretty good numbers earlier, struggled a little bit as of late. But I take a look at these two teams right now, and I think the Angels' offense is a little bit better off. Anthony Rendon came back, and he's back in the lineup. He hasn't broken out as of yet, but he's a quality hitter. And they've got some other good young hitters on this team. Logan O'Hoppe's been terrific as a catcher. He's going to be the face of this franchise for the future. But this Oakland A's team, Brent Rooker's having an amazing season. Lawrence Butler hit 3 home runs right before the break in a single game. Zach Geloff proved himself last year to be a quality player. This Oakland A's team's got a nice setup coming, and they will be playing in Sacramento the next couple of years before they do finally come to Las Vegas. But this is a team in Oakland right now scoring a lot of runs. I like the matchup here for both of these teams hitting-wise. 9 runs is a little bit short, if you ask me. I like the over in this game.
Kind of hard, especially after what we saw last night, Bryan. It's kind of hard to try to think we're going to sweat out an under with these two teams that certainly can hit for power, to say the least here. So you're looking at an over here, and usually I mean, this game last night, of all the games on the card, you were like, oh, boy, am I going to be stuck watching this thing late night? But it actually turned out to be pretty entertaining for the 6 people who showed up in the stands, so that was great. We also have we got another game here tonight that you're going to talk about, and it's, of course, with the New York Yankees, who, you tell me, Garrett Cole, is he rounding into form? Is this this is exactly what the Yankees needed here looking forward?
Yeah, he looked good yesterday. His strikeouts were up. That was his weakness going into his start yesterday. But his strikeouts were up. His advanced stance looked great. He looked like he was back. And that's what the Yankees need. This is a team, obviously the front half of that lineup for the Yankees is just fantastic. Great players. I tell you, if you watch Juan Soto, he's got to be the best all-around hitter in baseball. He fights off the bad pitches, and he'll take a walk. He doesn't have a problem with that. And you pair him with the best power hitter right now in Aaron Judge, and this is just a team from the middle on, from the top to the middle. Great. Problem is they've got some older guys in the bottom of the order, and they need to get some guys in trades or something, I think, before the trade deadline, which is about 2 weeks away, I believe. I wouldn't surprise me if the Yankees bring in some more bats. Nestor Cortez on the mound, he doesn't get a lot of credit when you take a look at the Yankees over the years, but the guy's had some great numbers. His walk rate this year is excellent at 4.7. All of his numbers are good except for his hard hit rate and his exit velocity. When he does get hit, he seems to get hit hard. And he's been hit hard by Tampa Bay. He looked really good early in the season, but this will be the 4th time that he's played Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay hits lefties very well. 115 WRC plus, which is 15% better than league average. And they just faced Nestor, and they hit him really well. Now, normally, I look to play a pitcher who faces somebody who sees him again to have a little bit of a better outing. And I expect that to happen here. But this Tampa Bay team, as I mentioned, hits lefties very well. And he's going up against Taj Bradley, who started the season, his first start of the year was against the Yankees. He was very good. I really like Taj Bradley. Take a look at his strikeout percent. It's up to 30.5%. Expected batting average, only 217. But he's another guy that can be hit hard when he does miss. So we got 2 guys in that situation here. But Tampa Bay, I could not understand why this line is so high here. I mean, obviously the Yankees, anytime you're looking to bet the Yankees, you're paying a premium. But when you're playing against a team that hits lefties very well, that has pounded Cortez in his career, I just thought there was a lot of value here on Tampa Bay. Yankees are a great team, no doubt about it. But this Tampa Bay team needs to get this victory here. They were in that game early on and then fell apart. So I look for Tampa Bay to bounce back a little bit here. And in this price range, I've got to have them on my card.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. I saw that the line total got steamed up to 8.5 last night, and I was scratching my head just before first pitch, and I'm going, well, it is Cole. Are we really thinking Tampa is going to contribute enough to get that going? With Bradley and Nasty Nestor on the mound, he's always been a guy you want to favor at home. If you were going to bet Nasty Nestor, you're not. Are we getting it over here today at Yankee Stadium? You think the runs are coming?
Just because they hit him so hard last time, I think he's going to make some adjustments. But that's the 4th time that he's gone against them this year. Zach Eflin went for Tampa yesterday, and I think that might have been why the line was bet up a little bit. He had problems with control. He's normally a guy that doesn't walk more than one batter a game. He had 4 walks in that game yesterday. Never looked comfortable. Yankees took advantage of it. I think they'll have more of a struggle offensively today against Taj Bradley.
All right, well, there you go. Yankees coming back down to reality here today, says Bryan Leonard, and I apologize that you have Brian Power listed there. That is absolutely disgusting on so many levels. I told you this could very well happen here, Brian, but we'll take that. It's his other brother, Bryan Leonard, the truth, that is in the house here. There were some questions in the chat room regarding The Cardinals and the Braves. Looks like it's a double header here today. How do you approach these types of situations here where certainly the bullpens are going to be rested for both teams? I don't know if you were leaning one way or the other yesterday in that game, but which I believe had Gray going. We've got Gibson and Morton in one of these here. How do you approach the doubleheader today?
Yeah, they actually moved the pitchers around, so they're not going to be facing each other again today. I have a real problem right now with this Atlanta offense. They've really struggled. If you take a look at their isolated power, they have been one of the worst in Major League Baseball. So it's tough to lay a number with them. I know they're good at home, and it's a good hitting ballpark down in Atlanta. I don't make any references to the second games of doubleheaders because you just don't know who is available in that game. So I never release something until the first game is over in the second half. But it's a situation for me that I just don't have enough on that one. And while we're talking here, I do want to talk about, give people a little bit of a situation here when it comes to rainouts and likely rainouts. The San Francisco-Colorado game, a lot of rain all day long. It would not surprise me if that game gets canceled. And there is some delays. The Atlanta game has some rain, Washington, Kansas City. So, Atlanta's got this doubleheader coming up, and they've got to fight through the rain to get it done. It would not surprise me if one of these games gets canceled, and I'd hate to have both of them canceled. That would be a wasted weekend here for St. Louis and Atlanta. But anytime you've got possible rainouts means it could be delays, which means your starting pitcher will not be in the game for his normal, 80 to 100 pitches, even though he's pitching well, because you can't bring another guy out if he's got an hour wait for the rain delays. So that's something to keep in mind here. So I try to stay away from a lot of these games that the weather can have an effect, and that's probably why I'm passing on those games today.
Yeah, well, I do want you to know, there you go, much better. Bryan, the truth, Leonard in the house. There was a question, I believe Seth in the chat was curious as to when the appearance by the cat was happening. I believe right on cue, the cat also reads the chat room, so was well aware of what we were getting ready to go in that one. We do have another question. I believe I saw the New York Mets taking on the Marlins. What a strange game that was last night with the Mets. They had plenty of opportunities. Guys on base could not get the big hit, and of course they couldn't stop giving up the big hit to the Marlins here. Are you a believer that the Mets is a pretty good bounce back spot here today? Or are you thinking that, you can't trust the Mets no matter what they did leading into the break in the month of June?
Well, our best bet was on Baltimore yesterday. That was nice, 9-1. But I had a big card yesterday, and I had the Mets. I had a lot of games in which the team that I had bet on didn't end up winning. And you had Philadelphia in that regard and a few others. And Boston, I thought, was in pretty good shape going into that late innings against the Dodgers. But, yeah, it was a tough day for us on our lesser plays yesterday, and a lot of it was just weird things happening after the All-Star break. It happens. You see a lot of that going on. Severino's been a guy who's been pretty good. His strikeout numbers have not been the same this year, but he's he's been pretty good for the Mets. But Miami is one of those teams lately that continues to play hard. They're clearly out of the playoffs, but they've got guys out there that are playing pretty well. So while I liked the Mets a little bit yesterday, in fact, I played them a little bit as a 1.5 star play. But today's game, I usually like to have a nice bounce back on a team that performed poorly, but I don't want to lay this number with Severino. It's a little bit too high here, and so if I played anything in this one, I'd probably dabble into Miami in this price range. Munoz hasn't been proven yet, but Miami's a team that develops pitching in the minor leagues. They've been very good in that regard. So even though they're probably down to their 10th, 11th pitchers from the starters, the start of the season, as Miami's really been, their starting rotation has just gotten crushed this year. So, but I prefer the underdog if I played that one.
I'm kind of with you on this one here. I don't know what to make of the Mets. I do think if they don't win a couple of games over the stretch, they'll be sellers. I'm telling you, there won't be any buying in the Mets future. They'll be piecing it off just like the Toronto Blue Jays are going to do. One other game that I saw a lot of folks have some questions in the chat room about those Dodgers who by the skin of their chinny chin chin last night, because for some reason Boston thought it'd be great to intentionally walk to pitch to Freeman with the bases loaded. That didn't work out all that well. Freddie looked kind of pissed too, by the way, that they were actually intentionally walking to get to him. He promptly hits the grand slam. They go on to win against Boston. Boston, to me, is a team that overperformed, and the All-Star break got in the way. That's a team, Bryan, that would have wished the All-Star break didn't get in the way, but that's exactly what it did, and I think the Dodgers needed that All-Star break here. I think they're just going to be two teams heading in different directions. What do you think in Game 2 here?
Yeah, talking about teams that are having problems with their starting rotation staying healthy, that's the Dodgers. They're another team. Luckily the Dodgers have a lot of money, and they spend a lot of money in the international free agent market. But the Dodgers minor league pitching is being tested this season, and so they know in the future what they actually have. Unfortunately, May is out again. He was, they expected to get him back, but he had another hiccup, so he's out for the season. And they've got a guy coming up. I believe he's going to pitch this week. A minor leaguer who is I believe they're number 12 starter in the minors, number 12 minor leaguer. But he's going to get some chances. So you've seen a lot of depth out of this Dodger starting rotation. I do like the bullpen. The bullpen's been great. Boston has done a terrific job. I've talked about this in the past, where they're trying to get their pitchers to throw less fastballs, which I've always loved because every major leaguer can hit a fastball. Less fastballs means better pitching, and that's what's happening with Boston. The problem was they extended Bryan Bello before the season, and he was probably the worst starter in their rotation, at least for the advanced numbers. I'm not a Bello fan. I think the Dodgers could get to him a little bit here, and the number's a little bit cheap. It would be the Dodgers or nothing for me, but it's tough back in the Dodgers. Another team very much like the Yankees, where you've got the top heavy is great, fantastic. Yep. Top heavy of that lineup, but the back of that lineup is bad. And they're from a defensive standpoint, they're playing guys in bad positions that really shouldn't be. And if you've watched the left fielder last night for the Dodgers, he turned an easy out into like a triple for the opposition. So there's some concerns, but I think the Dodgers, it's fairly priced if you like the Dodgers in tonight's game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just, Bello was, if that was your ace coming into the season, it's a big reason why I played the under win total here of 79.5. I didn't think they were as good as they've been. And I think that's going to continue down the stretch here in the season. But we do have plenty of Major League Baseball games here, Bryan. You have plenty going on over at WagerTalk.com. I mean, over the last 30 days, you're on every leaderboard that we have here. So what do you have today heading into a loaded slate Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I've got 5 plays up. I don't think we talked about any of them on the show today. The 5 plays are up. Number 1 the last 30 days, number 1 the last 60 days, number 1 since May 1st. Baseball been very, very good to me. And so if you're looking to get our entire card today, I priced it for only $19. 5 plays so far. I may add some others if we get some line changes that fit into my parameters. But $19 gets our entire card, including 5 plays today. And looking forward to another winning day for our clients.
I agree there, Bryan. As always, we appreciate it. Should be a fun day in Major League Baseball. Make sure you visit Bryan Leonard over at WagerTalk.com. All right, we've got, we'll have more in Major League Baseball. You guys know the routine. If you've got a question of the game, drop them in. Andy Lang will be by in just a few. We got Jesse Schule coming up. We want to send a shout out to Titan CT, Lord Farquaad in the house. Been looking in the back of milk cartons for you, Lord Farquaad. Damn, it's been a hot minute. Good to see you in the house talking, and get ready. Andy Lang is going to bring the heat with Jake Paul and Mike Perry tonight. Jesse, we got, let's see if we can get Jesse in here because he's got nothing on Mike Perry or Jake Paul. Unfortunately, I was hoping for Mike Tyson and Jake Paul here tonight, but that's not what we're going to be getting. What we are going to be getting, though, is some CFL here, my man, which you continue to dominate here. And you have found a game with the Argonauts, I believe, coming up and Hamilton. So tell me, what are we looking at? A little CFL here a little bit later today.
Pretty well with the CFL dating back to 2021 even. But I came to work on Friday, kind of walking like Conor McGregor, strutting in there. I'm on the leaderboard. But I woke up this morning feeling probably a lot like Conor McGregor after one of his recent fights because tossed up a goose egg last night. So, but back to the grindstone, still sitting there with a record of 81-51 since 2021. I believe with CFL, that is since 2021, which is best on the board at WagerTalk.com. So I still know a thing or two about the CFL, and we'll look to get some back here with Hamilton and Toronto. And I'm going to look at the total. Totals in the CFL have been trending over of late. 7 of 8 games had gone over until last night's games. And we got a high total here. And we got a Hamilton team that's 0-5, winless on the season, dead last in the CFL in scoring. Their quarterback's thrown for a ton of yards, but he turns the ball over, and it's just not translating into points. And you got a Toronto team that came into the season. Chad Kelly was supposed to be their quarterback. I'm sure you're familiar with him. Joe used to be at Ole Miss. And he was misbehaving in the offseason, and he's since been disappeared somehow. Haven't heard anything on that. But the rookie Cameron Duke started for Toronto, got off to a pretty good start. His first 2 games, he throws for 5 touchdowns, no picks, 80% completions. But then his next 2 games, no touchdowns and 5 picks. And then his last game against the Montreal Alouettes, Toronto wins that game by a score of, they scored 37 points in a blowout win. However, I'm going to put an asterisk next to that because the Alouettes starting quarterback went down early in the game. Things went south for Montreal from there. Otherwise, I was not expecting Toronto to be as successful in that game. So, like I said, you have the team with the worst ranked offense in the CFL. You got a Toronto team with a rookie quarterback who has thrown 1 touchdown in his last 3 games. I'm looking for an under here. These 2 teams have gone under in 4 of the last 5 head-to-head meetings. And in Hamilton in particular, you see a lot of ugly games. So I'm calling for an ugly game here in Hamilton.
So Toronto's won what? 4 of their last 6, 5 of their last 7, some along those lines. What are they, about a game and a half out right now? Everyone seems to be chasing Montreal. And you like maybe a little less offense, a little bit more defense here. Is this Toronto team, do they have a shot here to take it all down?
That remains to be seen. Like I said, their rookie quarterback started off well, and then the last 3 games has not really impressed. And
was that Cameron
Toronto
Dukes?
hasn't faced.
I think that's the kid, Cameron Dukes. Yep,
Cameron Dukes. Yeah. So if he can look more like the guy he did in the first 2 weeks, maybe. But I'm not really high on Toronto.
Yeah, well, that's, you talk to people from Toronto, every one of their teams is going to win something, Jesse. You know that. We also have, in addition to Toronto, and I think that that line is now 52. So because you mentioned it, it looks like it's already starting to get steamed down. 52 is what I'm seeing in the chat room, is what they are seeing out in the marketplace. Do you still like the under at 52?
Absolutely, yeah. I think if you look at recent meetings between these teams, they struggle to get to 50. And like I said, 2 teams that just aren't that great offensively.
Yep, love it. All right, so believe it or not, we're less than 50 days away from the NFL. College is even coming up before that. And it looks like, Jess, you're dabbling a little bit in the college futures market, especially win totals. I think I am all over this with you here, given the fact that everything that I've heard about this team here in Florida this year, it is not looking promising. So tell me your thoughts on the Florida State Seminoles coming up this year.
I heard that you're a Miami guy. Is that true, Joe?
Yeah,
You're a fan of the
That is
U?
true. Yeah.
No wonder you like to hate on the Seminoles. But no, I'm looking at the Florida State Seminoles. They're bringing in DJ Ugialele, if I said that right, otherwise known as DJU. And, he had a nice bounce back season with Oregon State. The Beavers won 8 games. I think that was a perfect fit for DJU. But at the end of the day, they won 8 games. The win total for Florida State's 9.5. I think it's naive to think that DJU can come in and replace a guy like Jordan Travis. I've got a ton of respect for Mike Norvell, but I think people are giving him too much credit. At the end of the day, he didn't have any success at Florida State without Jordan Travis. In the games that Jordan Travis missed over the last 3 seasons, Norvell was 2-8 straight up. So you look at the rest of the ACC, and you've got some tough games for Florida State. I'm looking at their schedule. They got 3 tough road games at SMU, at Miami, and at Notre Dame. I think it's going to be tough for them to get even one win out of that stint on the road. And then you've got 2 home games that look like a coin toss to me, at home against the Florida Gators and at home against Clemson. I think they lose one of those. At the end of the day, I think 9 wins is the ceiling for Florida State. I will point out that over the last decade, teams that begin the season in Ireland, none of them have won 10 games. So that's another thing that I'll pour on there.
Yeah, we like to call him as DJ couldn't cut it at Clemson or Oregon State. But, hey, he's now at Florida State. Why not keep it rolling there? Good old DJ. The recruiting has been different. There's been a lot of bitching and moaning about Florida State wanting to create their own network, wanting to get the hell out of the ACC. It's been a lot of distractions there, and it wasn't exactly the best recruiting year from what I understand for FSU. So I am with you here. Expectations through the roof, but not without Jordan Travis. I'm with you. I am not buying it. He'll be the Jets quarterback before it's all said and done. Jesse, you got any Major League Baseball coming up today? What do you got locked and loaded over your page at WagerTalk.com?
I've got a 3-pack of late games with a baseball team total. I've got a CFL team total, and I've got a big underdog with Major League Soccer, and you can get all 3 for $29.
All 3 for $29, guys. You see it right there. Just visit them at WT.buzz/JS. We got a few more Major League Baseball questions. Jess, you want to see if we can tackle 1 or 2 of these before you get out of here?
You betcha.
All right. So there seems to be a consensus that Seattle should just pack it in right now and hand the division to Houston. And I can't argue with them. They can't hit. And if you can't win Castillo's games, I don't know. They got Kirby. Kirby's done a really good job today against those Houston Astros over the last about 3 or 4 starts here. He's been their kryptonite, but I don't trust the Seattle team at all. I don't even trust them in this series. I think this is where Houston turns it up. Are you buying them here today in this spot to get it done again against the Mariners on the road?
There's some pretty dramatic splits in this game. You mentioned Kirby having success against the Astros. Also, Valdez has been torched by Seattle. And, you know, everybody makes a strong point. Seattle can't hit. Somehow they're 30-19 at home. And this has been a second-half team. This has been a Seattle team that we've seen usually go on a run in the second half to, threaten to make the playoffs. They actually performed pretty well in the first half this year. They certainly have to pick it up offensively if they want to stay in the hunt. But in home games with this pitching matchup, I'm not going to jump on Houston, given the history.
Valdez, too. It's not quite the same guy. Yeah. The under is what I was going to ask you, because last night it was at 7, and it felt like it was still worth an underplay there. It turned out to be right. I think I trust maybe these two guys a little bit more to keep this thing under wraps, because you're not going, maybe even a Houston team total under. If this thing stays under, and if you like Seattle at home to bounce back here, runs are going to be scarce for Houston in this one.
Funny you say that, Joe, because that is exactly the premium pick in my package tonight. Houston team total under.
That's outstanding. See, great minds, Jesse, think absolutely correct. That's what it is all about here. The other big question people had was Philadelphia or Pittsburgh here today. Nola couldn't stop anybody yesterday. That game was maybe the most entertaining on the card, because the Philadelphia would score 3, and then guess what? Pittsburgh scored 3. They'd score 2. They'd come back and score 2. It was definitely the over of the day here when it was all said and done, but a walk-off spot there for Pittsburgh. Just a terrible blown save by Alvarado for Philadelphia, but they seem to be rolling in Pittsburgh. Are you a believer in this team? Maybe with the last wild card spot, you like them to bounce back here?
I looked at this game and I was flirting with taking the over, but the starter for Pittsburgh. The starter for Pittsburgh's got some pretty nice numbers. I'm not sure how many innings he's going to be good for. I might look at a Pittsburgh team total over, actually, because they're going to get the lower number. I like the over anyways, and the team total for Pittsburgh's going to be on the lower side of that, with Philadelphia being the favorite. So that's probably the way I'd lean here, is Pirates team total over.
Yeah, don't hate the Ortiz has been phenomenal. Sanchez, of course, has been the unsung hero there as a number 4 starter there for Philadelphia. So I would expect, I'm with you, another hot, humid day at PNC Park means runs, Jess, are definitely on the way here. All right, so we got a little something for everyone here tonight, Jess. Over at your page again, and tell them one more time what you got with your 3-pack. A little CFL and a little MLS as well.
Yeah, big underdog in MLS. So if that one comes in, we'll be sitting pretty.
Woo! See, that's what I'm talking about. All right, just get out of here. Get some rest, man. We appreciate you stopping by. Make sure you visit Jesse over at WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/JS. All right, we have got the game and the boxing match of the year coming up, and that is going to involve none other than the legendary boxer Jake Paul. And I know for a fact there is one person that cannot wait to see what's going on. In fact, pull yourself up a chair, because I'm pretty sure this breakdown of this fight coming up tonight by Andy Lang might take all of 6 seconds. So, Andy, I am ready to roll here. But before we dive into that, we got UFC up here tonight as well. What is the latest happening at the Open Championship here? It really did seem to be like Lowry was going to run away with it. I know they're all off on the golf course here, but they teed off starting at 4 o'clock in the morning. What's the latest? What are you seeing?
So rain has come in. On some level, it's actually helping them a little bit, because the greens are soft and they're able to actually spin the ball. The last couple of days, they have not been able to do that. The biggest thing is the wind is not here today. The wind was what wreaked all the havoc yesterday. So conditions are actually better today than they were. Lowry's got a 2-shot lead. He just teed off. I believe he's on 4, the 4th hole. So the morning guys got the easier the tee times, but Xander Schauffele's 2 under today. Scheffler is 1 under today. You just see the big name guy. Morikawa's 2 under. So you're starting to see the big name guys creep up. But Lowry loves these conditions. In fact, last week, one of the reasons I have a bet going with him. One of the reasons I bet him is last week everyone was playing at the Scottish Open. He was playing at Troon, which is the golf course they're playing right now. He played it last week by himself in the wind and the rain. He went and got prepared to play this exact course in the bad weather. So he loves this. He loves mucky conditions. He set himself up beautifully to bring this thing home.
You know what it is, too, is I don't realize what a story that would be, Andy, because I don't even think people realize he is an Open champion. And the course in which he won his Open championship a couple of years ago is the same course that they're going to be playing next year. So if he wins this one, what a storyline going on there. Shane Lowry still 7 under par. What about, you tell me, if 44-year-old, 45-year-old Justin Rose, who had to qualify to get into this Open Championship, if he wins this, is that not one of the best? Is that the story of the year in the PGA?
I mean, it's never going to top Scotty Scheffler being arrested on the way to the course.
Oh,
that will never. That will just not be top. But it would be a surprise. Rose has been absolutely awful this year. I think he kind of comes back a little bit. I don't think he's going to hold off any of these big name guys. The other big story. I mean, Joe, you just got to love the European golfers. So Tommy Fleetwood was expected to do well this week, but he missed the cut. So you know where he is today? He's on the 8th hole with He's on the 8th hole with a cooler of beers watching.
Oh, yes.
There are people taking pictures with Tommy Fleetwood. It's like, Tommy, you're supposed to be playing today. Nope, I'm just going to sit in the rain with some beers and watch my friends play golf. So God love Tommy Fleetwood.
Titan CT says he can hit a baseball much better than a golf ball, and the golf ball's not moving, Titan CT. You realize that, right? Just going to leave that out there. Not going to say much along those lines, but the ball just stays there. It's kind of like on a tee, but that's all right. You're not alone with that. Lord Farquaad's telling him, practice, my friend. You can practice all you want. You're still hitting 120. On the front nine. This should be an interesting Sunday here with the weather at the Open Championship. And, of course, Andy, do you put any plays up tomorrow, depending on what the results are this afternoon? Would you be putting any head-to-head matches that guys would be able to hop on board with at your page tomorrow?
We've been crushing the individual round scores. Those have been the really good ones. So over under like +1 or -1. Those these are new to the market this year. I mean, some books had them in years past, but now most of the books have them, and we have been. It's a great market. You can see how the weather is going. You can see how the course is playing, and you get some really, really good value. We have one going right now on Joaquin Niemann to shoot -1 or lower. So if lines are up, if lines are good and we see some value tomorrow, absolutely, we will have some up. So we've done well the last couple days. Those are the individual round props that we're looking at.
I love those. You're right. Absolutely new to the market, and they're great. And there's a lot of ways to correlate those bets, too, which is fantastic. What wins the tournament? What number are you calling?
See, the weather has been really tricky this week. It's fooled everybody.
Yep.
I thought it was going to be tame on Thursday and Friday. It wasn't. It wasn't just me. The golfers said they were, pretty surprised. So you got to wait and see what the weather is going to be like. It's supposed to be a little bit nicer tomorrow, I believe. Give me -9. I think Lowry gets it to -9, and that's what you got to beat. Yeah.
Love this.
He'll plot his way through pars. He has one bogey and one double bogey, and that's it. The rest are pars and birdies. He loves these conditions. Just plug away, get your par, take your birdies when you can get it. Don't make the big mistake. So I think he'll get a couple birdies, and I think you got to get to -9 to challenge Lowry.
One of the best iron players there is. It's the putter that you got to worry about, but if that stays, you're good to go here with Shane Lowry. It'd be a great story as well. And of course, Scotty Scheffler 1 under through 5, 3 under for the tournament, and Shane Lowry just birdied too, by the way, the fourth. Birdie. So now he's at 8 under par. Boom! Gotta love that there. Yeah. So this could be over rather quickly, but still some great top 5, top 10 bets in the prop market available for the Open Championship, and Andy will have his finger on all of it. Keep checking back there tomorrow on his page if you want to dabble into a little Open Championship this weekend. How about it tonight, Andy? We've got, I was looking so forward to Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, but that is not going to happen there. Some sort of, an ulcer or something happened to Tyson, but they are looking apparently to maybe a November bout, hopefully if Tyson can stay healthy enough. So Jake Paul could not, under any circumstances, go without fighting this weekend. And in Tampa, he'll be fighting on pay-per-view against, of all the dudes, Mike Perry, who's never met somebody in a bar he didn't like to punch. So what are we going to do here, Andy, in this one here? How would you approach this fight here tonight? I would imagine he's a monster favorite here.
Well, you have to be careful with these promotional boxing things. Joe, they have Uriah Hall, former UFC fighter, fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who I think he's got to be in his late 50s or 60s. And so yesterday at weigh-ins, they announced Uriah Hall, undefeated boxer Uriah Hall. Joe, he's 1-0. His win was against Le'Veon Bell. That's who he beat, and they're billing him as an undefeated. You gotta love this. Okay, so here's how I'm playing this one, and the only reason I'm breaking down this fight is because Chris Allen, our producer, asked me to come up with a prop. But I do actually kind of like this one. You're taking this to go over or go the distance at plus 130. These promo fights. This is a gigantic money grab for Mike Perry. He was not supposed to fight and get ready for this. So let's take a look at who Jake Paul is knocking out. Ryan Borland and Andre August, and but he's going to distance against Nate Diaz and Tommy Fury and Anderson Silva. So some of these kind of bigger names, these things are going the distance because he doesn't want to. Well, first off, he's not going to knock out Mike Perry. Mike Perry is fighting bare knuckle, and he's the face of bare knuckle. Jake Paul's not knocking out Mike Perry with big gloves on. And the same time, Mike Perry is not going in here to get knocked out by Jake Paul. And by the way, bare knuckle does not want Mike Perry to get knocked out either. He's the face of bare knuckle. What does it say if the face of bare knuckle gets knocked out in a boxing match against Jake Paul? Jake Paul struggled to make weight. He was really, really struggling on the scales yesterday. This is just going to be one of those sparring matches. There might be a couple nice little moments, but neither one of these guys is going to throw with intent to kill. I think this is just going to be kind of an 8-round, each round's only 3 minutes, 8 rounds of kind of sparring. Mike Perry gets a paycheck. Jake Paul gets to save the pay-per-view. There's no harm, no foul. This is not going to be violent. And Mike Perry's coming off a bare knuckle, and now he's got gloves on his hand. So cool. I don't see a lot of power from either one of these guys. I think they just put on a nice little show for the fans. Nobody wants to get beat up, and you're getting plus money on this one.
Yeah, I like that approach here. And listen, hopefully they do pull that off between Tyson and Jake Paul in November. Were you leaning one way or the other if that fight? Oh, come on.
Yes, I was.
I
was leaning not to buy it. I was leaning not to watch it.
I wanted nothing
that was
to
my
do with
lean.
it. Nothing. I can't. I absolutely can't. All right, you have also. We've got a UFC match up tonight. 94, I believe, is a card, and that's in Denver here tonight. Is that you have something available there? How are you approaching this card?
Yeah.
Is it a good one?
Well, unfortunately, we just lost the co-main, and it was Jun-Yong Park. He's one of my favorite fighters. His nickname is the Iron Turtle. Unfortunately, he dropped out, but there's still really good cards, or there's still some good fights, and it's very bettable. We got 2 best bets up there, only $19. I don't think there's a ton of great spots tonight, but I think there's a couple of them, so we've isolated those. So that is up. We are having a monster July. We already hit a 3-unit Formula One play today. That means we are up 27 units just in the month of July. Woo. So we're looking forward to adding some more. Yeah, looking forward to adding some more units. It's UFC 94, and it should be a really good card, Joe. The biggest favorite on the card is minus 218. Wow. So they're telling you that these fights are going to be close. I actually think this is going to be a little bit of an underrated card. Some of the fighters aren't great, but they're even, so you're not going to get these complete ass kickings. So it should be a fun one. I'm excited about it. I think there's going to be quite a few overs, but I think we get some pretty good fights that go the distance. And I've never seen a UFC card where the biggest favorite is minus 218. Normally there's like 3 or 4 where the minus 600s or some of these completely overmatched. But this should be a really good competitive card tonight.
Love it. All right. UFC 94 available there. Best bets on Andy's page at WagerTalk.com. And I believe You have an NFL look-ahead future bet here, and this may come as a surprise to some people because if you say this guy's name, you automatically think of one team, but he ain't on that team anymore, Andy. It's a new era for Derrick Henry. So what are we doing with him this season here in 2024?
I am taking Derrick Henry under 975 and a half yards rushing. I don't know where they came up with this number, but there's a lot of reasons to like this to go under. So you're taking a look at Derrick Henry, and I get it. The guy has been a monster. You look at his last couple years. I mean, even last year, 1,167 yards rushing. The year before that, 1,538 yards rushing. That was with the Titans that basically used him and ran him into the ground. This guy had 280 carries last year. He had 349 carries before. This is a guy that has 2,030 carries in his career. It's just a lot of wear and tear. So when I look at the Baltimore Ravens, this stat will probably surprise everybody. This is a great kind of surprise your buddies. You have to go back to 2019 to find a year where a running back rushed for over 950 yards. It's been Lamar Jackson as the leading rusher on this. They spread the carries out. Mark Ingram has been the only guy since 2019 to get over 1,000 yards as a running back. So the Ravens, they use Lamar Jackson a lot. They use other guys. I mean, Gus Edwards, has been in the mix. One of these guys that gets like 100 carries a year. I think Derrick Henry is going to be much more effective around the goal line. I would take his over on touchdowns if you can find that number. But as far as yards, they just don't use guys as a bell cow. So, a lot of wear and tear. You look at his yards per carry last year was 4.2. That's his lowest since his sophomore season. So kind of see him starting to slow down a little bit. There's just too many mouths to feed. He's going to have to stay healthy for the entire season. He would have to get an abnormal amount of carries and production from a Ravens team that just doesn't really depend on one running back. And then on top of that, he's playing with Lamar Jackson, who rushes for, 700-800 yards a year. So I'm taking the under on Derrick Henry. You got way too many things that have to go right for him to go over.
Yeah, absolutely love that look there. Raven Ron says veteran running back that comes to the Ravens in his first year. Sometimes are typically run over 1,000 yards. If you're going to tell me Derrick Henry's going to have over 1,000 yards, then you're telling me also he's going to play every game, and he's. I'm not buying that with Derrick Henry. I think you know what it is, Andy? I think he becomes one of these inside the 20 running backs. I think that's what it is.
He's going to be a monster for touchdowns. A monster for touchdowns.
Huge.
I would double digits for Derrick Henry. This is a guy that has rushed for 10 or more touchdowns in the last 6 years. I think that's where he's going to be most effective. And I love Raven Run, respect Raven Run in the chat. You and I'll kind of go head to head. I'm rooting for Derrick Henry. I watched him run over my Indianapolis Colts for it feels like 17 years he's been running over my Indianapolis Colts. I know it's only been a few, but and also here's the other thing. Derrick Henry does not get to face the Colts and the Texans. He has feasted on those teams. The Houston Texans are not in the division anymore. And you go look at his production against the Texans, it is startling. So there's a lot going on with him. So I'll take their Raven Ron. We'll go head to head on this one.
It will make it very difficult when he's on the field. So who are you going to sell out to stop? Lamar, or are you going to sell out to stop Derrick Henry? So it's one of them is going to help the other gain a few more yards than what they normally would not do for sure this season. But Derrick Henry under 975 and a half rushing yards for the season for Andy. Andy, we're going to have to clap this out because Lord Farquaad and Titan CT were so busy bullshitting with each other in the chat, they completely missed your pick with the fight and Jake Paul. So if you could once again go ahead and lay out what you were looking at with Jake Paul and Mike Perry here tonight.
Last time, I'm taking it to go the distance. It's a money grab. Mike Perry is jumping in on short notice. Jake Paul's not knocking out Mike Perry. Mike Perry is the face of bare knuckle. Bare knuckle does not want to see Mike Perry get knocked out by Jake Paul. That would be just a, pardon the pun here, but a black eye on the company if your star can't survive 8 rounds with Jake Paul. This is going to be an exhibition sparring session. Jake Paul and Mike Perry know what they're doing. They're there to put on a nice little show, collect a paycheck, and not get hurt. So that I'm taking it over.
Is there a chance he clips Jake Paul? Could we see? I mean, is there? He is a brawler by nature, right? So I mean, he could connect. No.
He's not going to brawl in this. Why brawl in an exhibition boxing match? This is a one-time thing. He doesn't want to get hurt. Why would he get hurt to risk what he has going in bare knuckle? Joe, I could make Bryson DeChambeau's resurgence this year and completely turning around his career and the opinions people had of him is pretty similar. Mike Perry is on that same level. Mike Perry got in a fight with a 60-year-old man in the middle of a restaurant. And now all of a sudden he's the face of bare knuckle. But like nobody in a million years would have expected this. So there is no reason to push the edge on this fight. This will be a nice little, like, don't get cut. Don't break your hand or do any damage to your wrist. There's no reason to risk what you got going on bare knuckle. And you know, Jake Paul, he ain't knocking out Mike Perry. If Mike Perry's knocking out dudes in bare knuckle and eating bare knuckle punches, he ain't getting knocked out by Jake Paul's pillow punches.
See, I can assure you Tyson would not have been, touching gloves for a full let's go the distance. Tyson would have wanted his head on a platter as fast as he could have. So some things will never change in that spot there. So, all right, Andy, over at your page, once again, for those joining us, what can they get right now? Available up for sale at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, let's cash a couple UFC props, only $19. A couple plays that we have going for tonight. Not a ton of bets that I think are real bettable, but there's 2 that really stick out. So grab those. Scorching hot in July. We're up 27 units. We've already hit a 3% play in Formula One today. We're off to a winning start at the Open Championship. So things are looking good. We hope to continue the momentum. So make sure you join us, wt.buzz/AL.
I believe we just had, was it Siwoo Kim made the longest hole-in-one in the Open Championship history, too, as well. So a lot going on
235 yards. 235, and he didn't even land it on the green. It landed short and just rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled. It was spectacular. Great hole-in-one.
I'm trying to chip in from 6 feet, and this guy's hitting 220 yards. Like, you got to be kidding me. Unbelievable. Andy, enjoy the day, man. Always appreciate it. Let's cash a few tickets there. Andy Lang, catch him at WagerTalk.com. Plenty going on over at WagerTalk.com. Again, loaded slate, Major League Baseball, the Open Championship. There's a WNBA All-Star game going on here today. A little something for everybody, and trust me, football will be here before they know it. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe, like button, make plans to come back and join us again this week. Plenty to get ready for as football season approaches. On behalf of Bryan, Leonard, Andy Lang, and Jesse Schule, we appreciate the time as always, guys. Best of luck with your plays here today. We'll see you again soon. Good luck.